Justice with Judge Mablean will be life, because in everything we do, it involves the law. You came to court to testify about what you heard, what you saw, and what you know.
She's fair.
I don't have a hearing problem. This ear works good. This one works even better.
She's firm.
I'm not responsible for that ticket, and I'm not going to pay for it.
Who says you're not going to pay for it? I make that decision, not you.
She's honest.
What you have to say?
All I have to
Nothing.
say.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean. Richard Gomez is suing Irina Popova in the amount of $1,370. Mr. Gomez claims Ms. Popova owes him for legal fees after he was falsely arrested at his own house. Ms. Popova says she called the police because she believed there was an intruder and claims Mr. Gomez only has himself to blame for resisting arrest.
In the matter of Richard Gomez versus Irina Popova, you are suing Ms. Popova because you want her to pay your legal fees that you incurred getting arrested in your own house. And you blame your neighbor for having you arrested. You and her don't get along.
We definitely don't. We really don't get along, Your Honor.
And how long have you been neighbors?
We've been neighbors for 3 years.
Okay. And I see she's an older woman and you're a young man. You probably
Yes,
have
Your
too
Honor.
many parties in her. Is that right?
Yeah.
He has too many parties for you?
You know, I've been living in this neighborhood for 10 years, and I didn't have any problem. But when Richard moved in, you know, I swear to God, I have my more gray hair because of his noise and how he treat people, he treat me. You know, it's like unbelievable.
What kind of noise is he making?
He has his cabinet business, and he make this business in his garage. So this noise, like it's a
the saws and all
sander,
of the machines.
Yes, all this noise, and my bedroom right near his garage. So can you believe I actually have to move my bedroom to the guest bedroom because it was such a crazy noise constantly.
So you talked to him about it?
I tried to talk to him, but you know he's ignoring me, and you know Richard wants to do what Richard wants to do.
All right, Richard. You, according to her, are a pain in her.
Oh,
You know.
I understand.
What's this
that.
about making all the noise with the cabinet making?
Well, see, I'm a general contractor. I do construction on the side and do cabinet business part-time.
Okay.
And so I got to saw in and out, day in, day out. I usually start from like 9 a.m. to about 7 p.m. I usually try to make those time frames perfectly safe. Sometimes I might go over 7 p.m., but when I do, I try to keep it on the low down. And Your Honor, I'm just here because I just want her to pay for my court fees.
Well, tell me what happened. Well, how did you incur these court fees? What happened?
Yes, well, Your Honor, I was coming home from a party, from my girlfriend's birthday party one night, and I happened to stumble upon a rock. I pick up a rock. I pick it up, and I throw it in the window to break it. Was when
you threw a rock in the window to break whose window?
It was my own house, Your Honor.
Why?
I did not have the keys on me, Your Honor.
Why you didn't have your keys?
It was a funny story.
Okay. Let's start there.
I have my cell phone on me. I walk out the door, but I forget my keys and my wallet in hand.
Had you been drinking?
Not at that time. When I got to the party, I have.
Okay, so you walk out of the house with your cell phone, but you forgot the keys.
Yes, correct.
But you had the car keys, or did you walk?
No, I had an Uber driver.
Okay, so you had someone pick you up.
Yes.
You forgot your house keys, and you left them in the house and didn't go back to get them.
Yes, correct.
Went to somewhere to meet your girlfriend at a party.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and now on your way back home.
I was intoxicated, public intoxication, really, but I was really on my property at that time.
Just because you're on your property, if you're in public, you can't be intoxicated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go on. What you found out?
So I picked up the rock, and the cops were like, put down the cop. And I was like, I'm just gonna try to get my identification out and show you who I really am. So I threw the rock, hit the window, and it broke it and it shattered.
In the presence of police officers?
Can you repeat that, Your Honor?
In the presence of police officers. You
Yes,
picked
Your
up a
Honor.
rock,
It was
threw it into the window of a house whose house the officers don't have a clue it is.
This was my house, Your Honor.
But they don't know that.
You are correct.
And you were dumb enough to, well, you were drunk, you see. I mean, publicly intoxicated.
It's okay, Your Honor.
Okay. Threw the rock and broke the window in your house.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what were you supposed to do with the police sitting there?
I was wanting to get my identification out so I could show them who I really am.
So you thought you could throw a rock, break a window, then get into that house, climb through that broken window, go in, get your wallet, come back out and show them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh my God, you were more than publicly intoxicated. You were stupid.
He was arguing. Yes, he was arguing, Your Honor.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
You know, I wake up because I heard some noise and I heard some stumbling. I go to my living room and I saw a man who breaking the Richard house.
And later,
Did you tell me to take that shirt and stick it up there?
No, I did not. I said it's not really appropriate. I want to
You
wear...
did not sit there talking about it's not really appropriate. Stop lying. Who do you think you're talking to? Boo-boo the fool.
Justice with Judge Mablean. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Richard Gomez, who is suing Irina Popova for legal fees.
So you blame her for you getting arrested?
She's the one who called the cops. And if the cops weren't there, I would have never got arrested.
And if you weren't drunk?
And if I wasn't
The
drunk,
cops, you wouldn't have been throwing
That
that
would've
rock
never
in the
happened.
house.
Yes.
And if you hadn't been forgetful, you wouldn't have forgotten your keys. We could go on and on and on with the ifs. But it all comes right back full circle to you.
yeah.
So how you gonna blame her? And how do you know she called the cops?
I have a copy of the police report. I could give it to you if you want it.
Yes.
Yes,
let me
here you
see.
go.
Oh, maybe I could just ask her, did you call the police?
Your Honor, the incident what happened with Richard, it was honest mistake. You know, that night, I was already fall asleep. I was home alone, and it was very drizzly at night time. And you know,
Very
and
what?
Drizzly
Drizzly, raining.
drizzle out, yes.
Yes.
And you know, I wake up because I heard some noise and I heard some stumbling. I go to my living room and I saw a man who breaking the Richard house. So
Breaking a window.
no, breaking into home. I was just wake up and I see the house, Richard house, who was totally dark and totally quiet. What normal for his house.
Which was unusual.
Very unusual, very unusual. So for me, first thing I thought I need to protect his home and my property.
This person that you can't stand, you gonna protect his property?
But you know, when it's a robbery occur, you never know what's happened next. And
He may come to your house next, huh?
I'm in living
Right.
close by, so I think you never know what's happened. Maybe next will be me.
That's right.
So I just was worried about me as well.
Okay.
So
You didn't recognize him?
No, I didn't recognize him. It's for sure.
No light on the side of the house?
No,
or where
no,
he
it was very dark and it was really drizzly out, very dark. So, and you know, I just wake up and you know, I was a little shocked and the first things I have to do, I just logically have to call police. I didn't know it's for sure it wasn't Richard.
Let me see what the police report says. You really were intoxicated. Because
Yes,
a
I
person
really
in their
was.
right mind and thinking clearly wouldn't have done this. The officer's report says when they arrived, they responded to a call of a house break-in. So they don't say who called. They arrived within a minute of the call and they saw a man attempting to jimmy the lock of a house. So were you trying to jimmy the lock
Yes,
first?
I was trying to get the lock and, you know.
So
stick it
now
at
the
a
police
spoon
officer sees somebody at a door in the dark, it's drizzling, attempting to jimmy a lock. That's number one. They shined a spotlight on you. You turned around and said, "This is my house, and I've locked myself out."
Yes.
That's not bad. The officer says, "Put your hands up." And you said, "This is my house. I'm trying to go in and get my ID," just like you testified.
Yeah.
The officer says, "Put your hands up." You're like, Then you pick up a rock, just like you said, and broke a window. And broke a window. And then you tripped and fell, according to them.
Yes, yes.
And
Your
then they jumped on your behind.
Yes. They said I was resisting arrest.
Yeah. And failure to obey the lawful orders of a police officer. You're jimmying a lot. They have a spotlight on you. They tell you, put your hands up. Come on. Mr. Gomez, you brought this on yourself. These are your consequences that you have to live with. you should be thankful that all you have to live with is a fine and paying attorney's fees of $1,370 as opposed to 4 or 5 days in the jailhouse and much more in attorney's fees, all right?
You're right.
Or that you weren't paying a medical bill for injuries to yourself from struggling with the police officers. So you should walk away paying this $1,370 and saying with your hands up saying, thank you, Lord, instead of coming in here asking her to pay for it, all right? So judgment for the defendant.
All rise.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
You called the cops on me and you enjoyed seeing me arrested.
Richard, I hope you learn your lesson. You need to be more respectful to your neighbors.
Coming up,
Did you tell me to take that shirt and stick it up there?
No, I did not.
Okay, what'd you tell her?
I said it's not really appropriate. I want to
You
wear...
did not sit there talking about it's not really appropriate. Stop lying. Who do you think you're talking to, boo-boo the fool?
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. Anderson West is suing Gerard Valentine in the amount of $850. Mr. West claims Mr. Valentine kicked him out of a hockey game for wearing the opposing team's colors. Mr. Valentine claims the dress code rules are clearly posted and says he tried to provide Mr. West with other options so he could stay at the game, but the plaintiff refused.
Mr. West, being a fan of the opposing team, sat on the home team side wearing the opposing team's jersey, and you were asked to leave the arena. And you say, Mr. Valentine, hey, that's our rule. We don't want that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you for real?
Yes,
This is
Your
for
Honor.
real.
For real?
I attended a hockey game in Florida, against Buffalo in Florida. Well, because I was wearing a shirt that said Buffalo against the world, they felt that was inappropriate, and they asked me to either switch up my shirt or I would have to leave the arena.
Or they offered you another seat.
They did. They offered me a seat.
So
that
it's
was-
switch shirts to a neutral color shirt or go to another seat, but you can't sit here. What is this?
Your
Never
Honor,
heard of
just
such.
you
$850 for tickets?
right. The backstory to this is that our team has not had success in the past, as some of the teams from up north, such as Buffalo, has had. And so what we did, and we're not the first team, and we're not the last team that did this, is that we initiated a policy in which you must wear team colors when you're sitting in the first 10 rows around the entire arena, because what was happening is that their fans were coming out in droves. They were outbidding our fans, and what you had was home court, home ice advantage was taken away. And we want to create an environment where fans can look and they say, you know what, this is our home stadium. And the players say, you know what, these are our fans. We offered him a neutral colored shirt, and you know, he puts on the neutral colored shirt.
But he can still root for Buffalo.
He can root for whoever he wants.
Okay.
And he refused. And then we offered him another accommodation, and that was to move him up to a different seat that was worth $150, and we were going to give him $700 difference, refund him the difference in price, in the value.
So you wanted him to go up to the nosebleed?
Well, we didn't want him to, but that was
Yeah, you did.
that was the second. It was the second accommodation. But it's worth mentioning that the issue at hand, and this is something that I feel like he was a little dishonest with you on this issue, is that he was belligerent towards our security guard. When our security guard approached him and gave him this accommodation, he smelled alcohol in his breath.
Oh, you didn't put him out because he was drunk, and you didn't put him out because he was belligerent. Stop.
Your
Don't
Honor,
even go there. Come
Your
on
Honor,
now. Tell
Your
the
Honor,
truth.
he did in fact get violent. There were people in the area that witnessed it. and
Mr.
we did-
Valentine, did you put him out because he was violent? Why you offering money then?
Coming up,
Did you tell me to take that shirt and stick it up there?
No, I did not. I said it's not really appropriate. I want to
You
wear...
did not sit there talking about it's not really appropriate. Stop lying.
you're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Anderson West, who is suing Gerard Valentine for breach of contract.
When you refused, the security team came, right?
That is correct.
And what was your reaction?
Well, they offered first the shirt. Then they offered to replace me.
Did you tell me to take that shirt and stick it up there?
No, I did not.
Okay, what'd you tell her?
I said it's not really appropriate. I want to
You
wear...
did not sit there talking about it's not really appropriate. Stop lying. You are a diehard Buffalo fan. You got front row seats. This is the playoffs. You're from out of town. And you sat there and said, Oh, that's not appropriate. Who do you think you're talking to, Boo-Boo the Fool?
I want to leave it. I did politely decline.
You politely declined.
Yes, and that, of course, is open to expression, but I did politely decline.
It sure is open for expression. And I've been at enough games to know polite decline versus I'm not leaving. But
You're right,
so
I
what?
wasn't leaving.
It's clear that you're asking him to move because of the colors he was wearing. Where is this policy written? How does one get noticed before they buy this ticket?
We advertise it on our website. We advertise it on the TV, on radio. It's public information. Everybody knows that when you come to Tampa Bay to watch this hockey game, the first 10 rows, you got to be wearing Tampa Bay's colors.
Did you know that?
Actually, I wasn't aware of that.
Did you hear that anywhere?
No.
Did you read it?
Not until that day.
You read it that day when?
I read it that day when he let me know.
Oh,
when his
but
little-
prior to that, you didn't see any
I
notice.
didn't see it anywhere.
So there's nothing in the stadium once you enter?
They let you know if you're wearing the opposing colors and you sit in the first 10 rows. Then they let you know. No, we don't plaster it all over the stadium. But putting it up in the news, up in the media, website, radio, I believe that's enough.
Let me see this notice. Let me see this this website notice or something. Let me see something that says it's in the news and the people ought to know public information. Shoot. Anybody attending a playoff game in this round, guests wearing attire, apparel, clothing, accessory, flags, noisemakers, and other gear branded with the name, logo, or registered marks of the current team of the opponents will not be permitted within 10 rows of the ice. Okay. So you were just determined to sit there, right?
I felt they had that right.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
Mr. West, you were in their house, and you have to abide by the house rules. You were given reasonable options. You were given the opportunity to give up your money, to be refunded. All you had to do was put on that neutral color shirt, and you could have been sitting there in the first 10 rows.
But I couldn't
You chose
root for my
not to
team.
do that. Excuse me?
But I couldn't root for my team.
But what?
If I was wearing
You could root for
another
your team.
shirt,
He says you can root for your team. They don't have a rule against that. They can't stop your mouth. You can root for whomever you want to root for.
but not being allowed to be visibly rooting for my team.
Okay. You can root for your team without wearing the colors. We do it all the time. I go to games all the time without colors on to root for my team.
Okay.
Nothing stops your mouth from rooting for Buffalo because you don't have on a Buffalo shirt. Please. No, you're in somebody else's house. You got to abide by their house rules. So, judgment for the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
I disagree with the ruling, and I still think that your policy is unfair.
I'm sorry you got kicked out, but rules are rules, and you should have done your research before you came to the game.
This has been a production of Entertainment